Welcome to the Food That Makes Us, recipes that comfort and connect us. Today, stuffed tomatoes. Not kind of technically a traditional Ukrainian recipe, but we're using millet and we are using something that we call lyok in the south of Ukraine. Usually it's dill, oil, a little bit of vinegar and garlic blitzed together into a paste, and we add that into yushkas, so kind of like a fish broth, or into borscht. But my friend Katria Kaluzhna loves to use it as a dressing for kind of like grilled courgettes and stuff. It's got so many uses, and we've played around with it and added different herbs. And basically today we're going to mix it with cooked millet, and we're going to stuff the tomatoes with this herbaceous, delicious garlicky millet. And we're going to cook the stuffed tomatoes on some sliced potatoes. You know how much I love a sliced potato. Okay, so what is millet? It's not actually a grain. It looks like a grain, but it's almost like I would say, an Eastern European quinoa type thing. So it's a seed and, full of protein. It's delicious, and we use it quite a lot in Ukrainian cooking, or at least used to historically. It's gone out of favor for a while, but now it's everywhere here as well. It's so easy to buy. So I'm rediscovering millet recipes, and I really love cooking with it. So I'm going to show you how to cook it. First, we need to toast it. You don't want to over toast it. I've toasted it too long in the past, and then the seed kind of like seizes up and doesn't absorb enough water, I find, and just becomes a little bit too gritty on the teeth. Because, once we put the water in, you still want it to become really nice and soft. So there's 150 grams of millet. I'm just putting it into the pan, and I'm just going to toast it until you can smell its aroma. It's almost like an aroma of corn or something like that. You can do it in a dry pan, or you can also add a little bit of oil to help it along. I'm just using a dry pan today. And I'm just gonna not touch it, leave it for a sec, and then I'm gonna give it a little stir and then leave it for a sec. And I've got 350 mils of water at the ready here, and I've got some sea salt as well. So once it starts emanating its aroma, I'm gonna add the water in carefully. It's gonna be really hot, so it's gonna start spluttering about. I'm gonna give it a bit of a stir, and then over a medium-low heat, I'm gonna cook it for about 10 minutes. Basically, I want it to absorb the water, and then at the end we're going to switch the heat off, put a lid on, and keep it there for another kind of 10 minutes or so, and then it will be nice and soft and fluffy, almost like couscous, except that there's no kind of, if you care about carbs, it's a protein-rich seed. So I'm starting to smell it. My heat was on kind of like a medium high. I'm just lowering it. I can hear tiny little pops, and it does smell quite like corn. So I'm not gonna go over. I'm gonna add the water, and I told you it's gonna splatter. I'm gonna give it a stir, and I'm gonna put some salt in so it's nicely seasoned. And we're gonna basically bring it to a simmer, and then simmer it until all of the water has evaporated and absorbed into the millet. Okay, so the next step, while the millet is cooking, we're going to hollow out the tomatoes, and actually the inside we're going to use in our lyok as well. And I've got some herbs here as well. Today I've got tarragon, I've got dill, and I've got chives. You can use any herbs you like, really. With tarragon, I've taken it off the stem, so I've just got the leaves. The stem's just a little bit too woody. Dill stems are soft enough, so I'm just going to keep them as they are. And let's go for these tomatoes then. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a lid off and keep it. So they're going to be our little lids. And then I am going to kind of carefully cut around. Maybe do it over here, where you're going to blitz things, actually, just to catch the juices. And the flesh is going to go here. Okay, so the tomato flesh is in there, and I'm going to cut these herbs roughly. So this is kind of like 3 supermarket size bunches in there. I might not use all of them because I've got quite a lot of tomato flesh. So I'm just gonna use maybe half of each. The garlic, I'm gonna do 4 cloves. I'm just gonna roughly, I'm chopping everything roughly just to make it easier for the machine to blitz it all into a paste. And actually, I've also got a little bit of wild garlic. So my friend Natalia collected some wild garlic, and she just blitzed it with oil, and covered with a good kind of like film of oil. This will keep for up to a year in the fridge. So it keeps really well. And I'm just going to add a little bit of that to that as well, but you don't have to. You can just use normal whatever herbs you've got. The millet is sounding a little bit dry, so I'm just gonna come over and have a look. We don't want it to burn. The water has evaporated. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to switch it off, and I'm gonna put the lid on and just keep it there for another 10 for the rest of the water to absorb. I'm gonna put it into the machine. I'm gonna put roughly 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and I'm gonna add a little bit of vinegar as well. And we're gonna blitz it. Okay, so I'm gonna slice the potatoes, but first I'm just gonna put a little bit of oil on the bottom of my roasting tin, and I'm going to slice them. I'm gonna keep the skins on. Just gonna slice a little bit off so it's nice and stable, and then I'm just gonna do slices of potato. And I'm gonna layer it on the bottom like this. You can peel them if you like, but I like to keep the nutrients in. Okay, a little bit of salt. And we're gonna do our millet now as well. So, millet is nice and fluffy. Just fluff it up with a fork or a spoon. I'm just gonna taste it again. It's still a little bit al dente, but it's nice and soft. And I'm gonna put kind of like half of this liquid in. And we might not fit all of it into the tomatoes, but it's so good to eat like this. So you don't have to go for the whole stuffed tomato situation. You literally could cook millet in this way and just mix it with this herbaceous mixture, even without the tomato pulp, and it's going to be really tasty. Okay, so then I'm going to put these tomatoes on top here, just like that, and I'm going to fill. Oops. If a little bit falls on the side, that's fine. But actually, I think we're going to use it all up. Then put it in here. I'm going to put a little bit of this mixture all around. Might not put all of it in, but I can use it. I can just put it into a small jar, and it will keep in the fridge quite nicely. That's it. I'm gonna put the little lids on. just a little bit of oil on top. And in they go at about 180 degrees in the oven for an hour, but you can do it at a lower temperature for up to 2 hours until they're like kind of properly cooked through, but still holding shape. Okay, the tomatoes have been in for an hour in the oven and they're looking good actually. They're looking very good. Look at that. They smell fantastic. Yes! And I'm just gonna go here. The potatoes are cooked. Okay, so these tomatoes are good like this, good hot. They're actually also really good served at room temperature or just warm. You could grate kind of like a mountain of finely grated feta on top if you wanted to take it one step further. Just gonna have a little bit of a taste with the potatoes. Soft, herbaceous. There's a little bit of acidity there. Sweetness from the tomato comes. The millet is soft and delicious, and it's still winter here, well, kind of early spring, so we're using winter tomatoes, but if you are in the summer, this is such a beautiful dish to make, and oh, I just love it so much. I love a stuffed vegetable, and I love a stuffed tomato, and this bonus of herby potatoes is so delicious.